Welcome to session 1.3 on key concepts, LGBTQIA+.
Disaster risk reduction is at its core about ensuring every person's right to life. Human rights are universal. This means that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, aromantic, and agender plus persons are entitled to the same rights as anyone else to mitigate, prepare for, survive, and recover from disasters. LGBTQIA+ rights are ingrained in human rights instruments and global commitments. But the truth is that even documents such as the Sendai Framework and Sustainable Development Goals fail to mention them explicitly or see beyond gender norms and the binary categories of women and men. It is important to note, though, that the all-of-society approach promoted by the Sendai Framework means inclusive DRR must ensure and protect the rights of all LGBTQIA+ persons as well. Duty bearers have a responsibility to respect, protect, and ensure the rights of the LGBTQIA+ community in every DRR initiative, equally and without discrimination. LGBTQIA+ persons are often marginalized by society and invisible in DRR initiatives. The discrimination and rights violations they face in most societies are frequently amplified during disasters. They are, for instance, likely to be socially isolated or discriminated against and harassed when accessing relief services such as emergency shelters. Yet, there is a blind spot when it comes to the LGBTQIA+ community in DRR policy and practice at local, national, and international levels. LGBTQIA+ persons have unique needs and priorities. They face specific risks and also have capacities and leadership abilities that should be tapped into and built upon. This work must be guided by HRBA principles of equality, non-discrimination, participation, inclusion, and accountability. Every context is different, and inclusive risk assessments are needed to map the risks LGBTQIA+ persons face following disasters. However, after disasters, LGBTQIA+ individuals often experience discrimination, face harassment when accessing relief services, face the risk of being turned away from assistance such as emergency shelters, are subjected to violence, physical, psychological, sexual, or otherwise, are not consulted in relief distributions, are often rendered invisible in relief efforts by not being recognized as a group with specific needs, are not targeted as recipients by relief and recovery programs, are not considered for employment opportunities, are not considered as drivers and agents of change. Taking LGBTQIA+ persons into account and ensuring and protecting their rights in DRR is not optional. Here are a few recommendations from DRR Dynamics on how to include the LGBTQIA+ community in DRR. Ensure LGBTQIA+ people are not only reflected and considered in DRR policy and practice, but actively seek to include LGBTQIA+ people and groups in the development and building of preparedness, response, and recovery schemes. Ensure a policy development system that 1. Recognizes the essential role of centralized guidance on the inclusion of LGBTQIA+ people in DRR policy and practice, and 2. Accommodates local and grassroots level implementation of LGBTQIA+ inclusive DRR. Encourage and fund continued evidence-based research into the impacts of disasters and emergencies on LGBTQIA+ people. There should be a concerted effort to move that research out of the realms of purely academic settings and into real-world policymaking and implementation. Champion a human rights-based approach to disaster risk reduction, preparedness, and response, where a person's sexual or gender identity is not a barrier to receiving assistance and opportunities to recover from disasters. This championship should be funded and encouraged by governments and international organizations, but with the explicit inclusion of LGBTQIA+ grassroots organizations and NGOs. A transgender woman from Nepal summed up the many factors that go into ensuring the rights of LGBTQIA+ persons within community disaster preparedness.
If you consider for a moment all the discrimination and name-calling we face the moment we step out our door, sharing our problems openly and suggesting solutions becomes next to impossible, how are any of us, especially those who are illiterate and with weaker social standing, going to find the right words and the confidence to articulate it all, that too in front of hostile people?
To truly be inclusive, efficient, and sustainable, all DRR initiatives must be both actively inclusive of LGBTQIA+ persons and intently provide a safe space against discrimination. All activities should be based on the participation of LGBTQIA+ persons and aim to change the societal norms that keep them marginalized. If the rights of LGBTQIA+ persons are not ensured, then disaster risk reduction does not target all of society.